Hello, guys and gals, and welcome to today's episode of the Stadia Source. And we're basically looking at the Destiny 2 roundup, which was the announcement of Season of Arrivals and Beyond Light expansions for Destiny 2. I have a really special guest for us today, and that is none other than my father, who also goes by the name of SickChocThunder, who's actually a massive Destiny 2 fan as well as I am. How you doing, Dad?
All right, not too bad. I would say I was a bigger Destiny fan than you, but yeah, opinion.
I just knew when this news dropped, I didn't want anybody else but you to be beside me when I did this live stream. So I'm absolutely knackered from trying to type it all up and kind of get my head around everything. So you'll have to excuse why I'm a bit flummoxed. But yeah, what were your thoughts overall? I know we're going to take a deep dive into everything that was announced, but overall, what are your feelings towards what you saw, Dad?
It looks promising. There's a lot. There was a lot to say, a lot going on, and I dare say, it's going to take some reflection to take it all in. What's coming, and really pick out what's meaningful to you as a player. To me, obviously having a new world in September, the Europa world, is definitely a plus, because we do definitely need some new content with that, and I'd like to have seen a little bit more on this new season that's just started about what was happening, because I've been really cagey about what the content's been. So yeah, I'd like to, but then again, I don't know if you know, but obviously the 2 tokens in the blue landed them in a bit of a place, didn't it, last time? So I think they've been deliberately. Do you not know what 2 tokens in the blue is?
No. You're going to say, have you been playing Destiny 2 now?
Well, yeah, we have actually played Destiny 2. Right, there's this game called Destiny 2. All right. Right, so basically, they were doing a reveal, and they promised that the loot pool was going to be substantially better. And they opened a chest, and it dropped 2 tokens in the blue, and it became a meme after that. They were ridiculed on the forums, on Reddit. They basically said that the loot pool was going to be considerably better, and the first drop they did live on air was absolute garbage, and they got ripped to pieces for it. So I think they're deliberately being cagey in this respect, so they don't embarrass themselves. Not only that, but a lot of people don't like reveals, do they? They want to find out for themselves.
Yeah. So before we kind of do a deep dive into everything that was revealed, I just kind of want to give everybody a bit of background into you. So how long have you been playing Destiny? Since the beginning? Yeah.
Yeah.
Same as me. So obviously I kind of took a step back. I can't remember exactly. I think it was towards the second raid of Destiny 2 when that came out. I took a step back, but you've played it throughout the entirety, haven't you?
Yes and no. I've played at one point on 3 consoles until cross save. I was playing on Stadia, PS4, and Xbox, and that took some doing. Keeping 3 sets of characters, and I'm thankful, for cross save. We can compile it into one. I think I was in the top 4% in Destiny 1 for time wasted on Destiny, which I got totally stitched up. I won't go into it, but so yeah, I didn't play the last season. Do you want me to go into that now? Why?
Yeah, you can do.
When D2 come out, we all know what a pile of steam and turd that started off being, but it was kind of expected, as well. By the time D1 had finished, we've got a massive world, and then we've got to start with the bare bones. That saying, obviously the dynamics of it weren't that good. Anyway, they brought all the content out, and then they kind of drop the DLCs one after another on each season, but they use the same content to bolster the new content. And I just saw it straight through it like a glass window, in the sense that, how many times can you defend a war stat or protect your ghost? And it just become tedious, where it's just the same grind over and over and over. We haven't seen any new enemies. We haven't. It's just been the same lame content. So I skipped this last season simply because I just couldn't bear. I was pulling my fingernails out in the last season for doing the same content, that I could not bear to do another season. So yeah, I've played everything but this last season.
So you're probably the most qualified to be able to talk about this, obviously, which is why I wanted you on the show as well. So I know it was the last minute, and I literally only asked you like 5 minutes before we went live. So, but I was going to say, has what you've seen kind of reignited a spark within you?
Well, I intended to come back to it. I needed a little bit of a break. I played a little bit of Blands. Played a little bit of Anthem when it first come out. I think that big mistake. And well, they're on about rebooting that, but that's another story. And I did want to get back into it, but I just couldn't bear to go back into it with the same, content that I was sick to the death of. So what I thought I'd do is, and this is where Stadia definitely comes into its own at the moment. I'm still playing on PS4 because I've got a clan friends and other friends on both consoles. If I have to, not that it's expensive, but if I have to pay for the DLC on PS4, I want to watch all the reviews and the streams like yours, and seeing what the new DLC's got to offer before I put my hand in my wallet. Again, not this expensive, but I'm not paying for the same grindy crap content I've been ignoring for the last 3 months. Yeah. But the beauty of Stadia is giving me that chance to play it at no extra cost. And then obviously I can either stick to Stadia and use that free content, or I can pay for the DLC on PS4. But it's early days, we've only kind of in an hour and odd of it, I'm yet to understand what new content of the season's available.
Yeah, so if I just pull up my screen here, obviously we've got an article over on Stadia Source at the moment with a kind of roundup of everything that was announced. So you can watch the entire reveal for yourself there if that's something you'd like to do. It's only about half an hour long, so yeah, definitely jump into that. So the Season of Arrivals, which is available now, have you had much chance to play that? I know it's not been out too long, but
I've done the first mission where I'll try to avoid spoilers for people, but basically you have to interact with Eris. It was great to get a new exotic, and I won't tell you what it does because it's quite a different gun. Yeah. It's quite an exciting gun when you fire it and you see what it does. It's a good idea what they've done with it. The first bit opens with a bit of a puzzle, and you'll find out for yourself what that puzzle is. Again, I don't want to do spoilers, but yeah, a little bit different. Got my head scratching for the first 5 minutes of how to deal with it. It's not an obvious one, and then kind of it gives you it kind of starts the story off with a mission, with a bounty. I'm not quite sure where that's going, what's to do with it, but so far, not a lot going on. I went to the tower. There's not a lot different there. The story may unfold and reveal. I don't know. It's a bit early yet.
So, did you get to watch the ship blowing up in the live event?
No, I'll be honest with you. I totally missed it. I completely forgot it was on. I saw it on the stream, and I then thanked myself for not catching it because the delay for it actually happening. It was I just saved an hour of my life, basically.
Yeah, I think someone did a sped up version on the Destiny Twitter, which took about 30 seconds, and it was like the whole event could have just been, shrunk down to those 30 seconds. But
you got to say it's Bungie's first attempt at a live event, and kudos to them for doing it. It would have been nice if we had a little bit of interaction with the actual event rather than just watching a fireworks show in the sky. The damage to the tower was negligible. Nice to have seen something happening with the tower. Maybe they could have done a storyline where it opened up a hidden part of the tower, as a wall came down or something, or that would have been an interesting storyline. But I'm digressing. I think they'll do more with it. We just got to wait and see, haven't we?
Yeah. So the dungeon prophecy, which involves the 9. Have you got any thoughts about that? Is that something that you can dive into straight away, or?
No, it's a higher light level, and because I've skipped the last season, I'm still hovering around the 960s. And I think Bungie realised, just to touch on that for 1 second, Bungie realised that rather than delivering new content, bearing in mind they've lost Vicarious Studios and Activision, so their manpower, has been watered down. I think they realised that people chase light level, and you hadn't really got to deliver that much new content. You got to just keep bumping the light level up for people to chase. It's a good idea in one way, but lazy in another. The new dungeon requires a higher light level. I couldn't tell you what. I've not approached it yet. On the reveal, up is down, dark is light, and all that. Let's see what they do with it, because
interested in the Daito Foundry armor. Do you even know what that is? Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's you get that from the new dungeon, don't you? But again, it depends what it does. I don't know if you saw Transmog is coming to D2 at some point. That'll be interesting. But it depends. I think this Armor 2.0, etc., with the mods is a good idea, but it's got to be a bit more exciting. It's not exactly, blowing whistles at the moment.
So this season of Arrivals is effectively just a new season. I think the meat of what they're trying to portray would be in the next expansion, which is the Beyond Light. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, they like the thoughts on it are that it's going to mimic Taken King content wise, and that was a refreshing chunk of DLC. But they've got to think. I don't know if you saw. I don't want to go too deep dive in this direction, but obviously we're getting a new element, which is we're going to control the darkness.
Yeah, I was going to come to that. So.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. But yeah, the trouble is a lot of people didn't like the last DLC, and a lot of people didn't buy it. And I run a poll on the forum. You can look it up and ask people, did they play it? Did they like it? Or did they think it was meh? And a lot of people just didn't buy it or didn't like it. Now, if they deliver another season, because bear in mind September is quite far away. If they deliver another season of GAC, they're going to lose an audience. And okay, people are fickle; they'll come back for the September fall release. But we need meat on the bone to keep us going between now and then.
Yeah, and don't forget also as well, with it coming out in September, it's going to be going up against the likes of like Cyberpunk 2077, which is a hot game. Well, we still don't know whether it's coming out on Stadia day and date yet, so that may be Stadia, Destiny's saving grace when it comes to Stadia. But I think on other platforms such as PlayStation and Xbox, if it does, it's going to be up against some of the big boys in September. So this has really got to shine in order to stand out, in my opinion. So
Destiny's got a cult following. people drift off and play, just like I did with Blands, etc. But we come back. There's something about Destiny that we'll touch on in a second, because when we deep dive a bit more, because what I was going to say kind of connects to Vault of Glass.
Yeah. So I'm just going to read out. I'm just going to kind of like summarize everything we've got down here. So obviously we've got a new expansion coming called Beyond Light, which will be released on September 22nd, 2020. We're going to be getting a new planet, which is Europa. You can see kind of a glimpse of it above there. It's all frozen and cold. And it's also the birthplace of the XO, which actually doesn't mean anything to me, or maybe I just can't remember off the top of my head. You might be able to elaborate on that one. Stop laughing.
The Traveller.
Is that what it's called?
The Traveller.
No, I just never heard of it called that before. So anyway, we'll basically start to uncover some more about the pyramid ships, which you've actually spoke to me in the past. Was that what you called the Dorito ships, Dad?
Yeah, the Doritos are coming.
The Doritos. Yeah, so obviously you touched on the fact that we'll be able to wield the power of the darkness with something called stasis, and it's actually going to be a new elemental type. Obviously we've got void, solar and arc at the moment, so this to me is going to kind of mix up the battlefield, especially in things like PvP, and making sure that your armor is resistant and your weapons are effective against other people's. And obviously we've got pre-orders as well for the game, which Duncan actually went live earlier to say that this is the first time pardon me, this is the first time that you're going to be able to pre-order something on Stadia as well. So technically pre-orders are finally here. Breaking news. You'll also get a ghost shell, an emote, and the no time to explain exotic pulse rifle, which they're there if you want to know what they look like. So I'm also going to bring Ash in as well, because he's here. I'm sure he wants to say a few things about it as well. So here's Lord Moore.
Hello,
Hi,
Darren. Hello, Dan.
Yeah. It's been a while, Ash.
Yes. And don't you dare mock Doritos, ever. Doritos are king. No, a while ago I just... Oh, sorry, carry on.
I believe they're actually the salsa Dorito chips that are coming.
See, I did see a theory a while ago saying that there was going to be a Destiny 3 coming out, and that was... Well, yeah, obviously we know that, but the main focus of that was meant to be towards the pyramids. And then, obviously, the rumours of it's meant to be an expansion, which obviously it is. But for sure, it's one that I can't wait for. I've not really played Destiny 2 for a while now because of all the other games that we've got. Whereas for me, I feel this actually gives me a reason to go back into it.
Well, the Dorito ships are part of why D3 isn't coming out. In the sense that obviously the size on our hard drives is getting substantially bigger. And obviously, I'm probably teaching you to suck eggs, but yeah, the Dorito ships are part of the plan to clear content for new content, which I think they touched on the stream anyway.
Yeah, so that's if I scroll down here, obviously to do with the future expansion and the future of Destiny. So we'll kind of move on to that in a minute and get your thoughts on that. But in terms of like the new planet, I know that's been in the pipeline for pretty much since Destiny 1, Europa.
Yeah, it was
the new
on
planet
concept unlocks at the beginning.
Yeah, and do you think being able to wield the darkness is that going to be something you're excited about, or do you think it's just another gimmick to like they did when they replaced everybody's powers and supers in the beginning of Destiny 2?
It's going to be an addition, and anything that's an addition, we're getting extra. We're not taking things away from us. Yeah, it's definitely a Brucey bonus on that one.
And Ash and Dad, are you going to be pre-ordering?
Yeah. And my problem is I've got to buy two of them, for one for Destiny, one for Stadia, and one for PS4.
So obviously, like we said, the big news is obviously you can pre-order this right now, as Stadia Revolution has just pointed out there in the chat. You can pre-order it now, and also it's coming day and date to Stadia as well. So that's always good news. And there's a lot of people out there getting frustrated at some of the delays at the moment. So we also kind of got a glimpse. There's not really too much to talk about here because they literally only gave the names. We all got a glimpse of some of the future content as well, which is Destiny 2: The Witch Queen coming 2021 and Lightfall, which is coming 2022. So the fact that we've got content going way into 2022 as well, obviously kind of outlines what we're going to be talking about in a minute, and that is how they're going to continue to support Destiny and whether there's going to be a Destiny 3 as well. And in the interest of those that might be playing Destiny 2 on PlayStation or Xbox as well, they've also promised that they will be basically automatically upgrading your version of the game if you were to buy into the new next-gen console, so the Xbox Series X and your PlayStation 5. And also enabling some sort of cross-play between similar ecosystems. So, for example, if you're playing on the PS4, you'd be able to play against people on a PS5, and similarly with the Xbox and the Series X as well. So, cross-play is always a bonus as well. I know we've got some form of like cross-save already on Stadia and Xbox and PlayStation, but cross-play is more than welcome as well. So, going into the future of Destiny 2, and Dad, you touched on this briefly as well. The game is just getting too large for them to maintain and to patch. I think they mentioned 115 gigabytes, which if you are playing on something other than cloud, where you've got to be basically counting your memory and making sure that you've got the right amount to play the games that you want to play, that's a massive chunk of people's hard drives is 115 gigabytes. As I've said there, insert whatever comment about Stadia you like here. We obviously don't have to worry too much about that. But that's kind of spurred their decision to kind of take away some of the content that's already in Destiny 2 and put it in something called the Destiny Content Vault. Obviously, some of the content which is like less popular and it gets played less because they've got a ton of stuff. I don't have the exact figures. Maybe it's something I should go back and add to the article. But they've got a ton of missions. They've got a ton of content that you can play through, and it just gets lost in a sea of things to do, which is always good. Having things to do is always good in a game, but you've also got content from Destiny 1 as well, which Destiny 1, I mean, who plays Destiny 1 really anymore? So what they're going to be doing is taking some content from Destiny 1, giving it a bit of a polish, such as the Vault of Glass raid and the Cosmodrome, which was a place you could fly to, and bringing it forward into Destiny 2 and giving people that maybe didn't play Destiny 1 a chance to play through some of these iconic campaign missions or raids. And I know, Dad, as well, you feel very strongly on things like the Vault of Glass, because we... Yeah, go ahead.
On, son. Yeah. It's a bit of a funny one because some people call it reskin. Yeah. You know, we're recycling old content, more than the BBC. And Vault of Glass it's a bit of a kind of a wild card because it's very nostalgic for a lot of people because it was the first raid, me included. We want to see it back. We'll ignore the fact that it's recycling and reskinning because it carries memories. I still say, I'll just diversify for 1 second. I still say they missed a big trick on that one because, as we know, the Destiny Empire came out and it was chopped. And when we went into the Vault of Glass, there was a lot of areas that you couldn't access. And they were mysterious, and people find little ways in and out. And we didn't know, obviously Bungie being renowned for their secrets, we didn't know whether there were secrets or not. And I mean, I've still got YouTube content with you where we were wandering around, trying to kill Gorgons, or the Vex Mythoclast, where you could still they missed so much there. where if you look for a Vex Mythoclast, if you didn't know, you're supposed to see how a Gorgon sees. And if a Gorgon sees you, it kills you. And we spent hours, didn't we, in the maze, one actually getting about 3 centimeters away from a Gorgon without it killing us. And we actually thought we'd found something with that. And, we videoed it. And it was nothing. And I just feel if they're going to bring the Volta Glass back, let's see it back with some good content, not just increased enemies, with their light levels increased. Sorry, I'm going to go off on one for another second here. Obviously, we've had some community secrets lately where they've gone too deep, far too deep, where you've got to know Norse language or semaphore or bloody Morse code or something, right? And it's great as a community spirit, but I can't give two arses about learning Greek mythology or whatever to try and understand a puzzle, get some crappy exotic. And I think that's why they missed the trick with the Volta Glass. They put some secrets in, and to this day we don't know if we got them all. But if they're going to bring it back, let's juice it up a little bit and have a different take on it. A few secrets, and not only bring back nostalgia, but have people spending. And this is the bit I couldn't get as well. The new content comes out, and people just fly straight through it and complain they're bored. Giving them a few secrets and let them try and work it out for themselves, and you're happy for hours. You don't need new content. And if Bungie want to keep the audience happy without having to spend a fortune, with programming houses, just do that. We found it extremely entertaining when we did, didn't we? We properly enjoyed it.
I mean, to be fair, the Vault of Glass still to this day stands out to me as probably one of the best raids I've ever done. Not just because it was the first, but just because of obviously when you play a lot of Destiny, and this is where a lot of people fail with Destiny, is a lot of people, they play through the main storyline, which is it's pretty much just the same. You go in, there's loads of enemies, you're locked in a certain place that you can't get out till you kill the boss enemy, then on to the next thing. You get a few engrams, you cash them in at the tower, rinse and repeat. It's not until you start getting to the point where you can do the raids where Destiny actually becomes a whole different game, because it's not just running into an area and shooting loads of enemies and that's it. There's mechanics to it. You know what I mean? You've got to pass batons and stuff. You've got to make sure that you protect things, and there's all sorts of different mechanics to make it different. And a lot of people don't even get to the point where they can do a raid. So they're missing out on a massive point of the game just because.
This is where they need to bolster. Remember the matchmaking facility they put in?
Yeah.
Nobody ever actually played it because it was no reward in it for anybody. And again, to this day, it never really got out of beta. And I reckon, if we had raid Sherpas where you were rewarded and you got something decent for it, a lot more people would take more newbies into raids. But I love Sherpa, and I don't want to spend hours and hours and hours in a raid just for nothing. I don't mind doing it now and again, but not all the time. It's got to be rewarding.
Yeah. Ash, you've never done a raid, have you? Never completed one?
I attempted one. No, but for me, this does seem kind of perfect, because until Stadia came out, I never once touched Destiny. Always thought it was crap, basically. But then because it was free, I gave it a go and I enjoyed it. So then bringing old stuff back and revamping them like this then gives me the opportunity to actually go and play what I've missed out on.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I know a lot of people won't want to kind of jump back into Destiny 1 just for the sake of doing a raid, especially when there's no payoff at the end of it, at least not, in terms of Destiny 2. So I've always said I've wanted to run the Vault of Glass with some of the new people that I play Destiny with now, and have them just kind of see how amazing it is. when you've got all these different mechanics, which it literally turns Destiny into a different game. And I think a lot of negativity around Destiny comes from the people that don't really have never really got to that point in Destiny to be able to try a raid. Don't get me wrong, they can be frustrating. You can spend 3 hours trying to get past one boss, for example, but the payoff when you actually finally do it is amazing.
Do you know why Vault of Glass worked? As they've gone more and more raids, they've made them too mechanic heavy, and have made it so if one person screws up, the whole thing collapses.
Yeah.
Whereas a Vault of Glass, you could be carried, and when we see people solo things, or 2 or 3 man it, then that allows the newbies to come in and learn it, and then once they've got their head around it, you stop carrying them, start becoming players. And a lot of the new raids, like Wish and all that, I'm a seasoned raider, and a couple of last raids, okay, I can do them. I don't struggle with them, but they can become very frustrating because apart from the glitches and the server errors and the baboon errors and all that crap you get, the two, everybody said this, the too mechanic heavy, and a lot of people on the forums say, well, I enjoy them, I can do them, but I think me and you had a conversation a while ago about when a new raid comes out, and obviously we'll see a new raid when the next DLC drops in fall. If you don't get in that raid the first week and learn it and do the hard tasks and do the jobs that nobody else wants to do in the raid, then you're left behind because our elitism on the forums, and within the week people say you must have this gun, you must be that level, you must have 8 completions, and this is where we're back to the matchmaking, because people then are scared to go and learn a raid because they feel that they're going to let the team down. And I think we've lost a little bit of community with that one. A guardian should love helping another guardian, and it's gone the opposite way.
Do you think we'll see more of that in terms of with Stadia though? Because I mean, we've got quite a close-knit Stadia community here, and we've got people that have never played Destiny before and only have picked it up because it's free on Stadia. So we're going to see a lot of.
I think there's a lot of people out there who are experienced who want to help, but how do you know who they are and what they are? Just by clan groups, for instance, and we've got our own clan, and there's most of the people in that clan are happy to help. But when you see a list of clans, you don't know anybody, and there's cliques within that clan, and and there's elitism, and there's idiots, and there's good people, and I think although clans work, it's difficult pool to jump into when you don't really know, what you're looking for, or you don't know anybody, and it's a hard decision to do.
Yeah. So moving on from raids, then obviously I kind of want to start wrapping this up very soon because there's not really much to talk about left. But obviously they've kind of ruled out any possibility of Destiny 3 being released anytime soon, or even worked on. I don't even, by the sounds of it, it doesn't really even sound like they're actually even working on a Destiny 3.
Well, from what it sounded like, they were saying that they wanted to get rid of the numbers and basically make it essentially one big world. So to me, that just sounds like then it's not going to be any more Destiny 3, 4, whatever. It's just going to be, we've got this new expansion. You can freely go from world to world and explore the universe we're creating.
If you look at Destiny 1, nobody, as you just said, nobody plays Destiny 1. So I think they've realised if they make a Destiny 3, nobody will play Destiny 1 or Destiny 2.
Yeah.
And I think they've realised that. But at the same time, they've got to realise the size of the game. Also, I don't know if you think about this one, 2014, obviously is when the day one came out. 14, wasn't it? We're not a million miles off the 10-year mark. Let's face it, Destiny was only supposed to be a 10-year plan. So you've got to ask yourself the question: what's going to happen in that 10 years? Are they going to pull the plug? They're going to call it a day? Is it going to be maintained? A little bit of maintenance to keep it going. What are they going to do then? I mean, we're a long way off that yet, but it's in the sights. It's only 4 years away.
Do you think we'll see a rebranding of it to just Destiny then, dropping the number 2? And obviously with them bringing back like original content from Destiny 1 as well, it's almost going to be like one game and that's it. Are you there?
Sorry, I had an incoming call. Think about it, right? I knew next generation of consoles are around the corner, but 4 years' time we could see a whole different landscape within the gaming industry. My wife's trying.
He's using those husband tokens, guys and girls.
So we could see a whole different landscape, and 4 years' time we might not even have consoles anymore because of Stadia. We've just talked about hard drive size and why we can't see Destiny 3. Well, Stadia is the way forward. We haven't got a hard drive size. We haven't got a minimum CPU or GPU. They can make it as big as they want to make it.
Yeah.
Just being the future for 1 minute. Just looking for the future for 1 minute. Maybe in 4 years' time, Stadia is well established. It's leading the way, and we can see a massive Destiny universe, even D1 and D2 combined, because Stadia hasn't got any limits to that. This is where it stands in the future, where consoles are in the past.
See, I could imagine with what they were talking about earlier that they could end up using Stadia as their main platform, because, like you said, Stadia, they're essentially limitless on game space. You can make as big of a world as you pretty much want or can. Whereas when it comes to console and computers, you're limited.
Well, they've said they want to do persistent worlds and things like that. And with Destiny 2, with Stadia servers always being constant in the background, there's no reason why, they couldn't have that someday. Also, just a quick question for you, Ash. Are you live streaming from the toilet or something?
No, I'm in my bedroom. Like always.
It sounds like you're in like a small toilet or something.
Yeah. No, definitely not.
Yeah. So one of our viewers, MM2K, he's one of the Stadia content creators as well. It's probably one of the more vocal out there as well, and he has such a passion for Stadia. It's absolutely infectious, and he has such righteous indignation for Stadia and everything that it's about. Would like to know what your opinions on Stadia are overall, Dad. You could be as honest as you like.
I've gone really quiet for some reason. I can just about hear you. My connection isn't always the best. I think that's a little bit hit and miss.
Yeah.
I would say the communication lines between the company and us we need more communication. I can see the hurdles. I mean, I use an Xbox One Elite controller on my PlayStation. I just love the fluidity of it with the paddles, etc. And I really want to use it on Stadia, but I can't because obviously we can't.
Well, on your Chromecast.
Yeah, I think there's more work to be done. And I was expecting it earlier in the year. Now, you could obviously say that COVID-19 maybe have slowed things down a little bit. and I'll give them some grace over that. But I personally, I don't think it would have been there anyway. But yeah, I think it feels we're still in the early days, and we shouldn't be. We should be trotting along nicely now. And that's really all I've got to say on it. People don't see how good it can be, and I mean, I turned it on for this DLC drop, and there was a little bit of a server problem while queuing for people to get on, but that was Destiny, not Stadia. Yeah. But there was no content to download. There was no DLC. You know, it was there playing, and like when I load into the game, bang, it's straight into the game. And it's really weird because normally I use that couple of minute loading time, to play on my phone or get a drink or something. And it's like weird because it just loads straight in, and that takes some getting used to. I think we're going to see a lot more from Stadia, and the game's content's brilliant. But I think with some of the peripheral and that side of it, the actual mechanics side of it, and the communications need improvement. Don't keep feeding us new games. Give us some comms.
Absolutely, yeah. So, and also, the Gamer Man thinks you should be the Stadia CEO, Dad. So, you've got some fans already. You've got some fans already.
Yeah, I'm liking Stadia. I'd like it even more if I could use my own controller. And I just don't think people are seeing the beauty of Stadia. And I think because of the bad launch and the bad press, and we talked, I'll touch on this because this will make you laugh, but we always talk about paradigms, don't we? When a paradigm shifts, your history means nothing. And I think the paradigm shift has definitely happened in the gaming industry to Stadia, and people are still clinging on to their old console, because it's nice having something to unwrap. It's nice getting that shiny new console out the box and plugging it in and see what it does and play with it. And people don't want to let go of it. They just don't want to let go of it. They're still stuck, because that's all it's ever been. They don't want to have a little dongle stuck behind the TV. There's no shiny package to unwrap. But at the end of the day, it's not. You don't sit and look at your console. You sit and look at your screen, and that's what you buy a console for the gameplay. And I think, hearts and minds, once they change from traditional gaming, consoles, and they realise what Stadia is capable of. Yeah, they're living in an old world, and they'll see when the masses change over that. You're either going forward or you're stuck in the past. That's really all I've got to say on that.
Yeah, well, just to be upfront as well with your dad, I have used that paradigm phrase before on Stadia stores.
Everybody knows where it comes from there.
Yeah, I've never made any, false statements that I made it up. You've been credited all the way, so now you've heard it from the horse's mouth, guys.
There's so many examples around us, like telephone boxes and with mobile phones, and there's all sorts of things. It's littered around us, and people still don't want to let go of that shiny console. And I think once, these new generation of consoles are coming out, and even considering upgrading my PS4 to the new PS5, or even getting an Xbox so I can play with Sam. But I know without a doubt that it's I'm doing what everyone else is doing, clinging onto the past.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up now. So Ashley, have you got anything to add to that?
I do. I'm not sure if you've spoken about it already, but since the end of last year, start of this year, we've known that Stadia will be getting pre-orders. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, with this being our first pre-order, do you think now we'll start to get the flood of pre-orders for other games that we're meant to be getting, or do you think it's still a long time off yet?
I think it could open the floodgates to others, but I don't think it's going to be like every single game that's that's going to be coming to Stadia being available for pre-order. I think it's only going to be limited to the big titles at the moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Such as your Destiny 2s. We may see one for Cyberpunk, obviously, when they kind of pull their finger out and start to, you know what I mean, communicate with us a bit more about when it's actually coming to Stadia. Which is probably why we don't see it on the CD Projekt Red website as well.
Let's not forget that Bungie's had some rocky times lately, and people want to see the content before they invest in it. So although the pre-orders there, and it's a great addition to the Stadia, universe, the numbers won't exactly be a true weather report on whether it works or not, because a lot of people are going to hold back and want to see that new content before they open the wallet, and that's no degradation to Stadia. That's just the Destiny universe, really.
Yeah. So Duncan's just said as well. If you don't know, Dad, Duncan's one of the guys at Stadia Source as well. So he's just put Stadia doesn't even know you can pre-order. So I think some people have kind of reached out to Stadia to ask them questions about it, and it seems that their communications team doesn't even know that you can pre-order. So,
well, this is what I was saying before. When I worked for a brewery, yay, and
free beer.
one of my first year or two within that, and the one of the guys invited me. One of the big managers invited me to the office for a chat, and he said to me, "What's the biggest problem you think we've got with this company?" And I said, "Communication, or lack of communication." And a few years on, I'd still say that was one of the big problems in industry, not just my company. That's just any company, communication, and that's internal and external. And Bungie have been slated for, they're not talk. They talk on Reddit, but they don't talk on their own forums. And suddenly the rumor mill goes upside down and inside out. And then when suddenly everything becomes believable through the rumor mill, and then when it doesn't transpire, it leaves people feeling hollow and empty. And I think a company that talks with its customer will keep their customer. When you don't talk to your customer, they'll find somebody else to talk to. And that's my bit. If I had to give any advice to Stadia, to Google or whatever, I would say, talk. Just communicate with your audience. Yeah, I'd rather be told we're not going to see an update on using our own controller this year than having to keep watching news reports and trying to dig out for myself. Just talk to your audience.
Yeah,
it's simple,
and that's being resounded throughout the entire community as well. So we could probably spend another, entire 48 minutes worth of video time talking about that. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up now, Ash. That's for another time. So MM2K says you're spot on, by the way. So I just want to thank both of you for coming on the show today and talking about Destiny 2 with me. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here.
Well, thank you for the invite.
That's all right. And will we see more of you, Dad?
I'd love to. I might even put my ugly mug in the video frame at some point.
I was going to say you might be able to see where I get all my good looks from then. So
you have good looks.
I didn't want to do it straight away because I didn't want to scare off any of your listeners, your viewers.
So I'm going to go ahead and close this up now. Don't forget, don't subscribe to Tommy Danger, aka Steady Arcadia, aka whatever he goes by now, and we'll see you on that next one. So goodbye, folks. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, humans.